right, switching gears. Today, the Biden administration and Secretary of State Antony Blinken announced that the State Department's religious freedom designations were being unveiled for several countries based upon violations of religious freedom. But the list is shocking. And I say this as the host of Washington Watch, and also I will say this as a commissioner on the International Religious Freedom, the Commission on International Religious Freedom. What is shocking is who's not on the list. And here to talk about this is FRC Senior Fellow for International Religious Freedom, Lela Gilbert. Lela, welcome to Washington Watch.
Hi, Tony. It's nice to be here. Thank you.
Okay, let's talk about the list for just a moment. Give us a quick overview of who's on the list, but I want to spend our time talking about who's not on the list.
Yeah, and that's a troublesome thing. On the list is Burma, China, Eritrea, Iran, North Korea, Pakistan, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan. Those are on the countries of particular concern. I'll tell you who's not on there, and that's Nigeria.
And what's significant about that is Nigeria, for the first time last year in the Trump administration, was placed on that after the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom for years had been pointing to the problems in Nigeria, the religious tensions, the violence that was taking place there based upon religious motivated violence. They're not even on the special watch list. What's going on here?
It's really unbelievable. There were, according to Voice of America, 50,000 Christians have been killed since 2019 in Nigeria. And we get reports pretty much every week, sometimes as many as 30 villagers slaughtered. I'm in touch with people on the ground there that go out and look to see who's left and how many refugees there are, and there are 30,000, 100,000. I just do not understand this. The other issue that happened, Blinken was supposed to meet with religious leaders on this trip. And we checked with every Christian group we could think of, Protestants, Catholics. There was they didn't even know there was a meeting. And apparently the meeting was never happened, and it was just taken off the schedule altogether, unless he met with Muslims. And I don't know what happened to that.
Yeah, I didn't mention that Secretary Blinken is on his first diplomatic trip to Africa, and he made a stop in Nigeria. And I think the timing of that is quite significant, that he went to Nigeria, and then this list is released. And, you know, I was anticipating that they were going to be removing him from the CPC list. Now, just for the benefit of our listeners that may not have heard us talk about this before, Nigeria, the most populous African country, quite significant country because of its, whatever happens there has the possibility of impacting the entire continent, as well as really, if you have refugees coming out of Nigeria, it's going to affect Europe. We've got a population that's nearly split 50-50, give or take, between Muslim and Christian. We've seen violence, but what we have is we have a government that has done almost nothing to stop the violence against many of these Christian villages and churches. In fact, as you just mentioned, just recently, there was a Baptist church where they took them all out. And we had, even on this program, we were talking with someone from Epoch Times who a reporter was there reporting on this, and he was arrested for reporting on it.
That's right. Well, the government has done worse than nothing in Nigeria. They have really, according to the people on the ground there, they assist in these things. They turn a blind eye at best. But there are sometimes military people involved in the massacres. So it's very much controlled by Fulani radicals, the government from the top down, and there's just absolutely no concern about these Christians. If anything, it's an effort to remove them from Nigeria, as far as I can tell.
So I'm having a hard time understanding how, under the present circumstances in Nigeria, the numbers tell the story, how the Biden administration could completely, not just removing them to a second-tier list or moving them to a second-tier list, but completely removing them from any identification at all with a nation being plagued with religious freedom issues.
It's really incomprehensible unless there's some backroom deal going on that we don't know about. But we can't say. I mean, it seems so obvious, and we were so grateful for Mike Pompeo's efforts in getting this done, because the CPC list makes it possible to sanction governments and government actors. So it would have made it much easier to address this in a national way. And of course, now we don't have that option left anymore.
Yeah, I guess I should have said at the beginning, just because we're using a lot of DC terminology, but a CPC, country of particular concern, and there's actually a formal definition that goes along with that. It's a country that either engages in or allows ongoing, systematic, egregious persecution when it comes to religious freedom. So either the government is directly engaged in it, as many countries are, or they enable it or allow it by not trying to stop it. And so it's a significant designation. As you said, it often comes with sanctions that come against those countries, although oftentimes those sanctions are waived. In fact, in the case of Nigeria, they were not operating under the sanctions. They had been waived. But it still becomes a stigma issue, and it is something that the other nations looked about and say, hey, what's going on there? You need to get your house in order. And I think I heard from a lot of people, and I know you did, in Nigeria after the Trump administration put them onto the CPC list, there was a lot of hope that maybe some stability would be brought to the country and the government would stop the persecution of Christians and others in that country.
Well, that's right. And, it's not just one group of terrorists. It's also, there are Fulani terrorists that are in one part of the country. There's Boko Haram. And now Boko Haram has sort of signed on with ISIS, or ISWAP, which is West Africa province of the Islamic State. So, we have these various actors, and why this isn't being addressed by the government is beyond me, because it affects certainly their economy. There's also trouble in the South with uprisings, the completely different issue. So it's the countries in turmoil. You'd think they would want to bring stability for no other reason to get along with the United States, but apparently they're getting along just fine with the United States without correcting anything.
Yeah. I should also add that these terrorist groups are actually well equipped and armed, in some cases better trained and better equipped than the Nigerian forces. Lela, great to have you on the program. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Tony.
A lot of issues covering today.